Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. Each day we'll normally have a topic of discussion, usually trying to feed off of what we hear many of you asking about. And then we're going to open up the second half of our 30-minute Zoom for just open forum Q&A. What questions do you have or concerns about any topic? Now, if it's specific to a given client, this is probably not the right place to address it, but if it revolves around processes, leads, closing, so forth, then this is a great place to cover it, because if you have a question or concern, there's a high probability that others do as well, so we can learn together. So we started this new modified format yesterday, where we'll have a topic, but then we open up at least half of the Zoom for Q&A. Today's topic is shown on your screen, and it is our monthly compliance audit. As I think some of you know, we have some new investors that came in, and they're expecting a little bit more of a rigid approach. So to do so, we're going to start having a monthly compliance audit. And that sounds negative, but it's not. It's in fact designed to assess, are we doing what we should be doing to help you be successful? So maybe it's the opposite of what you might infer when you look at it. So the purpose of the monthly compliance audit is for our white label partners to see how you did last month. Are you on track? Are you compliant? Because we know that our white label partners, after an initial 30-day grace period, has promised to help at least 8 clients a month to a week. And so we need to be training and supporting and assisting you in accomplishing that, because if you've done that, then you're compliant with your white label license agreement, and you should be earning a 6-digit monthly income. That comes from, of course, the formula of collecting a $2,500 deposit from each client after the first tranche of financing. And then on average, many of you are charging a 10% performance fee, 10% of a $100,000 capital raise. Add those two together, that's $12,500. Do that 8 times a month, and there you're at $100,000. So with that being said, let's go through this compliance audit sheet. We did send out an email to everyone yesterday to let you know to be looking for this. And then we are sending these out. I think we're probably about 2/3 of the way through. We have a massive number of white label partners, which is awesome. And I think the team got about 2/3 of them out yesterday. And many of you have responded already, which is great. Thank you for doing so. All right, so here, this is going to come to you each month. What will change is, and this is the Adobe, when it comes to you, it's going to be sent as an Adobe form where there'll be fields. You don't see those fields here, but right in this space where I'm marking, it'll the one you're receiving today or this week, we'll say October 2022, because we're reconciling how we did last month. And then we can interpret from that, are we on track for this month, or is there additional training or assistance that we can provide to you to help you be successful? So each month the form will look the same, but right in this area here will be the month that we're auditing. Now, we know that each of you are responsible. When you receive the white label partner license agreement, you read it, you understand it, but our new owners ask us to just reiterate 3 most important points. One of which is that, there is a personal guarantee on the license agreement. We've promised to waive the $10,000 license fee that you normally would have paid. If you remember, this used to be $50,000 up front. When people became distribution partners a few years ago, they were paying $50,000 up front. And then over time, that went down to $25,000. It dropped down. Now it's essentially free. We don't charge anything up front. But the promise is that you're going to be active, that you're going to help enroll at least 2 clients a week. And if you don't do that, we want to help you get compliant, because we want to help people together and you to make money. But if you don't comply with that, then you are responsible for the license fee. But we don't want you to pay the license fee. We want you to make money, not spend money. We want you to help clients. and earn a great income while helping them get capital. So in the compliance audit itself, there's just a few basic questions. And again, it may seem misleading here, but there's a blank behind each of these questions when the Adobe form actually comes out to you. So first of all, we want to know, just in summary, are you on track? Are you earning the amount of income that you would like to as a white label partner? So regardless of everything else, even if you're compliant, but you're not earning the income that you want to make, we need to know that, because we want to visit with you and figure out what we can do to help you improve your income. So that's just a yes or no question, not a trick question, just to let us know. Then we ask a couple key metrics. How many access to capital clients did you enroll last calendar month? And that would tie to October for right now. And that's why up here on this form, it would say October 2022. So we're asking you to reconcile to your records. We have our records, but we're asking from your records, how many did you enroll last month, last calendar month, as well as how many express clients. Now for the access to capital, we'll include both those that pay their deposit up front, as well as those that defer it until afterwards. So we're not asking you, how did the clients do? How much money did they raise? We're just simply talking about enrollments, because if we don't have a client enrollment, nothing else can happen. It starts with client enrollments. So access to capital in this question is including the capital ready, which is when the clients are paying the deposit out of pocket up front, versus the SBA Express. Then we ask, are you joining the live Zoom trainings that we hold most weekdays, like we're having right now? There's no requirement to attend them, but we're looking to measure. If we have people that are not earning the income that they want, partners, I should say, not people. If we have white label partners not earning the income that they want, and if they're not enrolling the clients that they need to remain compliant, it's great for us to kind of ask that question for self-reflection. Hey, are you plugging into the training? Now, I have children, many of you have children, there's other obligations you may have, so not everyone can attend the live trainings, and that's fine. Frankly, most of our partners do not attend the live trainings, but we make it available on our YouTube channel afterwards. And so a lot of times we'll send out the links, but remember, you have access to the YouTube channel. So you're not waiting on us to send you the link from the most recent training. You just go to the YouTube channel and all of them are there. So we ask, are you on the live trainings, which isn't required? And then we ask, if you're missing it, are you watching the recordings? Now, I realize, most of us are quite busy. There's lots of other things to do other than watch a daily training video. But when you became a white label partner, your commitment was, hey, I want to go help at least 8 clients a month, which should translate into you making right around $100,000 a month. Does that get rich quick? Absolutely not. Are there other things you could do to make more money? Probably so. But if you're looking to help small businesses raise capital, improve their financial literacy, and earn an extra around $1.2 million a year, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a commitment. So you can join the live trainings, which allow you to ask your questions and have the live interaction, or listen to it afterwards. But frankly, nowhere in the white label license agreement does it say that you have to attend these trainings. Because what you and I do, we know we live in a litigious society. And so we have written contracts, and the written contracts are what we follow. So nowhere in your written contract does it say that you have to join these Zooms or watch YouTubes afterwards. So not a requirement, but it's just good for us to know, for those folks that are not on track for their income, does it seem like that they're actively engaged with learning? That's why we ask. Lastly, we started doing this fairly recently, a couple months ago, and it's working really well. And so again, it's not required. It's not in your license agreement, so you don't have to do it. But we certainly encourage each of you to schedule one-on-one sessions with us. And we've provided the link again if you need that. So we have a different scheduling link for white label partners than we do clients. Different. So this is the link for white label partners. No surprise, right? The way it's labeled. So if I were you, I would be scheduling a weekly call, and it provides a structured way for us to review every client that you submit. It's, for instance, I had a call with Frankie yesterday, who's on the line here. And so we went through Frankie's clients. And so that's great for you to know exactly where the client is or anything that you need to do, any concerns or questions you have about the client. That's how we reconcile. What doesn't work well is people just calling us on the fly wanting to check status, because we need to be prepared for the conversation. And the way that we do that is we schedule weekly calls. And then also, of course, we have our daily Zoom. So if there's a procedural question, these daily Zooms are a great place to resolve them. But as far as client questions and status, normally we should go through those weekly. Now, I realize sometimes an issue will come up that can't wait for the next scheduled call. I respect that, and we can take those as we need. But in general, we should have a weekly call. Not required, but highly recommended. Now, at the end of the day, if we have a white label partner who is not complying and they're not doing these things, then we're going to ask, what is it you're expecting, right? Because you signed up, we provide the training, we provide the support, we provide the opportunity. What is it that you want? Because it seems that you're not engaged. And so that's ultimately what we need to know if you're not being successful. So this is sent out to you. We sign it, you sign it. So it's not a new contract, but each month you'll get this. And we're just simply really just asking you to answer a few basic questions. And also it's a subtle reminder, hey, there are trainings that may be helpful, and we should have weekly calls. Who has questions, comments, concerns on the compliance audit? All right, Mandy asked a good question, and it's good. So if you all, any of you, feel that we're not doing what we should be doing, then we need to know, because we want you to be successful. Your success is our success. And so we're not perfect, but we certainly aspire to comply with our end of the white label license agreement as we ask each of you. So absolutely. So if we're not doing what we need to do or what you think we should be doing, then let us know. And the best place to address that is during our one-on-one sessions. And frankly, what we're doing right now is a reflection of input that I received from Alfred and a couple others of you that suggested we needed to use our time differently for these daily Zooms, where we don't consume it all with the topic of the day, but consume no more than half of it with the topic of the day, and allow for free form questions. And so we listen, we care, we want you to be successful. All right, so Dave asked when there'll be another live training. Well, Dave, you'll have to help me understand. So you're welcome as a white label partner to do live trainings for clients and prospects whenever you want. We call those workshops. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, or if you're asking about us conducting a live training for those of you that are white label partners. So let me give some background on that. Before the COVID pandemic, we used to have our partners fly in. We'd have live training once a month here at our head office. And that was great. We had people fly in from all across the country. People flew in from Hawaii. Some people drove. Some people took the Amtrak, which sometimes you'll hear the train go by our office. It's 1 block away. COVID happened. We stopped having in-person training for obvious reasons. We started making more available online and on demand. And now, frankly, pretty much everything's there. So I don't know that we'll have any more live trainings, because the library, which you can access on the YouTube channel, is available at your convenience. And then we have these daily Zoom calls. So there are no more live trainings scheduled at this time, just because everything's pretty much available on demand. We may revisit that in the coming up year, but at this point, And we also moved out of the Chamber of Commerce building where we leased space, and we bought a building. And frankly, we don't have a large conference room in our building we own like we did in the chamber. So we'd have to work on those logistics. But I mean, if you all feel that would be better to get together face to face, we can certainly consider that. And I know there's been some discussion about when white label partners come aboard, providing them the face-to-face training, which we would provide the travel. We would cover their travel costs to come in and lodging. We put everybody up in a bed and breakfast here in walking distance from the office, and then also providing leads for an initial 30 days. So that was a package that used to be provided back when people were paying the license fee up front. There's some discussion about offering that again, but we'll see what happens. But again, they were getting all that when they were paying up front. Right now, none of you were asked to pay this up front. We waive that perpetually as long as you remain active with at least 2 clients a week. All right, so let's move it to the open forum. I think we covered the compliance audit as much as we need. Just in summary, this isn't bad. This is an assessment of how you and I are doing, and if we're on track or not. Just a little bit of feedback and encouragement to have the weekly calls. And if you're not on track, it's okay. We'll come up with a plan to resolve it. Is it you don't have enough leads? Is it that you're not very good at closing? Where is the problem? Where does the problem lie? So we can correct it, and all will be good, because we want everyone to be compliant. We want every one of you to be helping at least 8 clients a month. We want every one of you to be making around $100,000 gross income per month. All right, so that's the compliance audit. If you haven't seen yours come over yet, they're still working on pounding those out. We have a very, very large number of white label partners, and they're sending them out individually. So, but ignoring is not good. So I would not ignore the compliance audit, because as the disclaimer says, that would be a breach. So do you have to attend Zoom trainings? Do you have to do one-on-one sessions? No. But if you're not compliant, in other words, you're not helping at least 2 clients a week, and you don't even care enough to respond, then they're going to go ahead and they're going to invoice you for the deposit because you're not engaged. Okay, so Quincy asked a good question. So now we're to the open forum. So any questions you have regarding any topic, go ahead and type it into the Q&A of Zoom. It's like a chat box, and we'll start working through them. So this can be all across the board, so not necessarily tied with the compliance audit at all. But Quincy has the first question. What can we do to speed up the clients getting funding? Well, we made a significant change last week, Quincy, and others. It used to be when clients came in, it was a 28-day process. We went through 1 module a week for 4 weeks. Well, to no surprise, that's about a 30-day process. Was it helpful, valuable? I think so, but we know some clients don't want to wait. So we changed the process. We had a training on this. So now we send out building your loan package Adobe to the client once they come aboard. We let them immediately know, here are the documents that we're looking for to build your loan package. Of course, it's not all or nothing, but those documents that they do have, we get them to upload into a designated Dropbox. So instead of that being a 28-day process, that could be a 1-day process. Now, we continue to provide the financial literacy so they understand all of this and how it works, and that is available through our new contract with Blue Revenue, which we talked about in the prior training. So the key to getting clients funding is to get their documents in the Dropbox. Now, the financial literacy kind of surrounds that and is helpful and useful, but what we really need to do is get their documents collected and get them into Dropbox. So if what you're wanting to do is to speed up the client's funding process, you can encourage them and support them to get their documents into the Dropbox. That would be the answer. And then we have our funding committees on Wednesdays, normally on Wednesdays and Saturdays, Wednesday evening, Saturday mornings. So once we have the data set from the client, again, not all or nothing, but once we have the data set from the client, they get put on the agenda for the funding committee. They go to the funding committee reviews the documentation, reconciles that to what the client circumstances are, prepares a recommendation, and that recommendation is shared with you and the client typically next business day. So for clients that went to the funding committee on Wednesday, they get it by Thursday, by the end of the day, Thursday. They went to funding committee on Saturday, they get that by the end of the day, the following Monday. Next week is a weird week, right? Because we got Thanksgiving and we're closed, to no surprise, on Thanksgiving and on Good Friday. So we'll have to see how the funding committee will operate next week, but this week it's operating normally. Okay, so we're on the open forum. We have lots of different questions on all different topics. So if it seems like we're pivoting from one point to the next, we probably are, because we have a variety of different questions. Andre asks, can we help vending and ATM businesses? Yes. Let's see. Quincy asked back about the in-person training. I like the in-person training because it allowed us to create more of a bond, just the benefits of being shoulder to shoulder. We provided everyone lunch. So we spent a day together. So we got to know each other. And I think as a society, look at some of the top MBA programs. I have an MBA and a number of you have an MBA. And whether it be law school or MBA programs, more and more are offering online curriculum. It's just the way that education is evolving. Does that work for everyone? No, because if you're multitasking or not focused or not disciplined, then you tend to do better in a structured environment. So no, I don't think that inherently doing the white label partner training in person is better than the remote, but it may be better for individuals just based upon their diligence and learning style. My concern is, we could say, all right, we'll provide an in-person training in January, sign up. And so I think a bunch of people would probably come. But the problem, I think, would be the material that we would cover in the in-person training is what we've already covered. Now, has the white label partner gone through that training or not? I don't know, but it could very well be that much of that day would feel wasted by those that are there because they've already heard it. They've already gone through it. There's not a full day of new information to give. It would just be a different packaging of the information that we've already provided training on demand for. So that's the concern. Okay. Andrea says something happened to her volume. Yeah, I said, yes, we can do vending machines earlier. I guess that was your follow-up question. Okay. Training for white label partners, Dave is asking for, and so I guess Dave is not a white label partner. So Dave, welcome. We make this Zoom available to those of you that are on board versus those of you considering being a white label partner. So you're welcome to be here. And absolutely, and that's the beauty. Literally each of you, and Dave included, can go through the training curriculum even before you decide to become a white label partner. We have a YouTube channel. Our training videos are there. We have plenty of those to really get an in-depth understanding of what we do and how we do it. And there's no passwords on it. It's not restricted. So yes, sir, you're welcome to go through the training first. All right, and then we have a question. Quincy has a good question, which is different. So let's draw a comparison. Let's do a comparison and contrast between Access to Capital and SBA Express. So SBA Express, that program is laser focused on helping a client get an SBA 7A Express loan. We have a preferred bank partner that we work closely with. We have a contract with, and it allows us to, in a streamlined fashion, get that client, get them approved, get them funded for an SBA Express loan. Therefore, we're focused on just the minimum necessary documentation for that specific bank, for that specific loan. Very specific. In contrast, Access to Capital is where we're taking a client and building out kind of a global loan package, looking at many elements, because we don't know yet what the right type of funding is for them. And so there's more to developing a loan package for access to capital than there is just the SBA Express. Because here we know exactly, we work with this bank closely. We're talking to them nearly every day. We know them very well. We know exactly what's needed. Access to capital, we don't know what the funding source will be. So we're taking a broader approach. So Quincy's question was simpler than all that. Are we asking for the same data? Absolutely not. No, we're not. For example, the business plan for the SBA Express is a one-pager. The business plan that we do for the access to capital is longer because we know exactly what this lender wants. Here we're building a broader data set. So no, we don't need all the same data for the SBA Express. All right, so the follow-up questions about the 3 C's, and I had one of you, well, actually, that person's not on the training right now, but I'll leave his name off. He approached me yesterday and almost seemed frustrated. And you know, he wants his clients to get funded quickly, as do we. That's how we all get paid and profit from what you and I do. But we can't ignore the fact that if we want to borrow money, it comes down to the 3 C's, right? You and I learned this in school. Some people haven't, but you and I know it. We teach it, we preach it, right? If you want to get a business loan, it comes down to credit, collateral, and capacity. Now, there's some sources of capital that look at some of those C's, not the others. But if we're going for a traditional business loan, we're going to need the 3 C's, right? That's not something that you and I made up. It's just common knowledge, right? And so with that being said, we gather data from the client to see if they have the C-S-E-E to determine if they appear to have the credibility necessary to go to funding for a business loan. And if they don't, that's okay. Then we help them resolve any inconsistencies or deficiencies. That's what you and I do. We're technical advisors. That's what the world needs. The world really doesn't need just one more loan broker, because a lot of people don't qualify yet. We need to get their package put together. And in some cases, we need to resolve deficiencies that they have. And so that's okay. That's what you and I do. We help people get from where they're at to where they need to be. We guarantee in writing a minimum of $100,000 capital raise. Now, you can make that guarantee higher if you want, but we're certainly not going to waste a client's time. We're accountable. We're responsible for helping clients get from where they're at to where they need to be. So when it comes to credit, collateral, and capacity, different lending sources have different requirements for that. So our first goal is to collect from the client data to see where they're at, reconcile that against the preferred lending source based upon their mitigating circumstances. And if there's a match, then we move forward to funding. And if there's a mismatch and inconsistency, we need to either change lending types, sources, or help the client become compliant. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, Frankie's got a question. Can a physical therapist who has collateral and a business FICO above 165 get an SBA Express loan if she's trying to start her practice again after shutting it down during COVID and she has no income presently? Yeah, most likely. So yes, I would encourage you to enroll the client, Frankie. But we need to see the whole package. And so what we typically want to avoid, and I want to be respectful to Frankie, she's one of our top producing white label partners, but in general, what you and I want to avoid are these what if scenarios, because you'll have people that'll come to you and they'll want to give you a little snippet. And then they want to know, well, can I get funded? Well, what's our deal, right? What's our promise? Our promise is we'll help anyone get funded, at least $100,000. But we need to go through the process. And by going through the process, we gather the specific documents. I'll give you an example. I have a client yesterday I was working with. And he stated on his financials that he had a certain amount of collateral. I said, oh, great. But we need some substantiation of that. And then when we get the substantiation, it doesn't substantiate it. He misrepresented it. So I'm not saying he's a bad person or tried to mislead us or the lender or anything else. But, part of our role, or your and my role, is to go through and prepare the client for funding. We'd love to help prepare them from a financial literacy perspective, and that's available, but it's optional to them. They don't have to do it. There's no cost, of course, but building the loan package out. And what your and my job isn't just to get whatever the client says and say, oh, that must be true, let's move on. We're really wanting to prepare their file. And so there's going to be some instances where people will tell you something and they want to know, well, I get approved for $100,000 or $1 million based on my current circumstances. I don't know. We need to get you enrolled. We need to gather the data, get in front of the funding committee, and one of two things will happen. Either it looks like that you're ready to move forward to funding, and the funding committee will give you the stamp of approval and we'll go apply. Or if we identify that there's some concerns or deficiencies, we'll help you address those. That's the process that you and I go through. You and I are not the bank. We're not the underwriters. You and I don't approve anyone. You and I don't decline anyone. We help manage the process, and that works. We can help anyone get from where they're at to a successful capital raise. We guarantee it. All right, and Doug asked a good question, and this probably will be our last one for today. How does he know which program to enroll a client in? For those of you that are still getting your legs underneath you, I would make things simple. I would just enroll everyone in the access to capital. Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it, because learning two different programs is not twice the knowledge, but until you're proficient with one, I wouldn't worry about the other. Like Bo Jackson, right? I'm dating myself. He used to play football, professional football, and professional baseball. That's fine. If you have that skill set, fine. But start with one, become really good at it, and then we'll worry about other programs. The access to capital is obviously where you'd want to start, right? You're going to make $12,500 per client on average. Client's guaranteed $100,000. Client has no upfront cost. It's the easiest to pitch because there's no upfront cost. Super simple. So for any of you that are not performing well, I would focus on access to capital singularly, and then we can expand later. Now, if you bring someone into access to capital and we realize that they're a good fit for an SBA loan, of course, we can help them, because this is included in this, but this isn't included in that. All right, and then I guess one last question. Dave, yeah, so Dave, the SBA Express program, you're able to pick the loan packaging fee that you want to charge the client and the performance fee. That's correct. You're in charge of that. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. Today we started by introducing the monthly compliance audit. Many of you have received, the rest of you will be receiving here in short order. Please take a moment to complete it. If you don't complete it, we're going to assume that you've quit. And I know we shouldn't assume things, but if you quit, then we're going to invoice you the license fee because you're not participating. We don't want anyone to pay the license fee. We want you to be active. We want you to be successful. We want you to help at least 2 clients a week, which is what you promised to do. We want you to be making money, not paying money. That's the deal that we've offered, but that is only based upon you getting engaged. A simple, quick measure right now of engagement is, do you care enough to do these things, especially scheduling the weekly calls and filling out the monthly compliance audit. We want you to be successful, but we can only help you if you engage. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Let us know if we can help you. Bye-bye.